Let's go through a problem for the reteach for 225A. And in this one, we are given a graph of a linear function, and we are asked to find the 4 characteristics. Just like for 225B, we recommend going in whatever order you think is the easiest and sticking with that order, because we're going to change the order up, and we don't want you to get confused by any of these pieces. Specifically, the intercepts are the ones that get the most confused. And so if you go in your own order every time, then the order won't trip you up. So I typically start with the slope and whether it's increasing or decreasing. And so for increasing or decreasing, I just need to look at the line, read it left to right, and see, is my line going up or down? Since this one is going down, my line is decreasing. Then I need to count the slope. And this one was really nice because it gave me points. However, if you don't have points given to you, you just need to choose 2 points on corners. It can be any 2 points. Since this one has 3, I can use like this point and this point, or this one and this one, or this one and this one. It doesn't really matter. You get the same answer either way. So I'm going to choose this one and this one. And so what I'm going to do is we are going to count for slope our rise over our run. And you imagine that like this is your house and this is your friend's house, and you're walking on the streets and you're figuring out how many blocks it's going to take to get there. So starting with this one, you can start either place, by the way, it ends up the same. But if I start here, then I'm going to rise down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And since I went down, my rise is -6. So down is always negative. Then I'm going to count my run. So from where I stopped, I'm going to count over to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. And to the right is +4. If you went left, that would be negative. So now I just need to put this into a fraction, my rise over my run. So I have -6 over +4. And I want to double check to make sure that this is simplified. So can I divide both of these numbers by the same number? That answer is yes. I can divide these both by 2. And I get -3 over 2. And this is my final answer for my slope. If you picked this point and this point, you would have just automatically gotten -3 over 2. Same with this one and this one. I just picked the ones further away to show you how to simplify if you need to do that. So then I go to my intercepts, and I always do my x-intercept first. And so my x-intercept is where I cross my x-axis, which is this point right there. And I can see it's not on an even corner. And so it's not going to be a whole number, it's going to be a decimal. And I'm going to estimate the best that I can, because we're not going to be perfect, but I'm going to see where I think it is. And I think it's a little past halfway. So I'm going to say my x-intercept is probably like -0.6-ish. If you think -0.7 or something, that's fine. And then I need to write it as a point. And so if my x-intercept is -0.6, then I need -0.6, 0. So the number is in the x spot. Now I'm going to do my y-intercept, which is the same thing, but where we cross the y-axis. So where does my line and the y-axis intersect? And there's already a dot on there. And that's at -1. But again, writing this as a point, the -1 needs to go in the y spot, so my answer is 0, -1. There were quite a few people on the quiz who got the right numbers for intercepts, but then did not write them as coordinate points. And I know it may seem like a little thing, however, technically there's 2 spots where -1 is on the graph. This is a -1, and so is this. And so if you don't specify if it's -1, 0 or 0, -1, we don't know which one you're talking about. So that's why the coordinate points are really important. So you can now go ahead and do the practice down here and then check your work with the key. I do want to note that if I use this symbol, it just means approximately. So if, like this one, it's approximately negative 0.6, meaning that if your answer is a little bit different, that's fine. So as you're checking your work, you're not wrong if you're different from me for those ones. You should just be fairly close.